Oh, anachini karagiwi. Huakadega, hua nangshana, jige, hani chaweda, hi pim. Hello, everyone. Huakade here again. Happy to see everybody, and welcome to Module 18 of our Hoyt online self-paced independent learning program. This week, we are going over the last of the traveling verbs. Now, we've hit this pretty hard because it's a very important concept and it's really, really useful. You're going to use traveling verbs a lot. So a lot of what you've learned over the past few weeks can be applied immediately. You can start using these every single day. So we wanted to make sure that we gave enough practice, that we spaced it out, because it is a little complicated and the concepts are a little different than what we are used to in English. All right, so but this week, I promise, is the last where we're focused just completely on traveling verbs. Now, there's going to be elements of it in modules because they all build off of each other in the future. So once again, please make sure that you have a really firm grasp of this material before you start to move on. And similarly, if you're still working through previous modules, please be sure that you go through that before you try to take this on, because once again, these all build on each other. Once again, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be trying to set up some review sessions for everybody to go over the previous modules. So once again, if you started later or you're just taking your time and you want to go a little bit slower, that's great. And we want to make sure that we support you in all of those previous modules as well. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be doing that soon. Now, I would like to get right into our module for the day. So module 18, learners are going to be able to understand the traveling verbs kere and gi. You can read these all at your own pace, but basically kere and gi, we're going to be talking about when you're leaving to go back somewhere, and we're also going to be talking about when you arrived back somewhere. And you're going to be able to do that for yourself. You're going to be able to ask other people and of these questions involving these words, and you're going to be able to talk about other people's responses as well. So that's what we're going to be working on this week. So let's get into it. So now a little bit of a review. You'll recall that we have a couple of different concepts when it comes to the traveling verbs in Ho-Chunk, and two of the big ones are this concept of here and there. So we have this concept of here, which is wherever you're at, and we have words that involve arriving here. So we have one that we learned last week is G, which means to arrive here, which is wherever you are. But we also learned another word, kiri, which is this concept of arriving back here. Okay, so we have these two words that deal with arriving here, here again being wherever you're at. One is just arriving here, the other is arriving back here, indicating that you've been here before. Okay, so there's another couple concepts, but we also have the concept of there, right? So there's here, but then there's there. And we learned Hokiaigu went over the word for arriving there a few weeks ago, and that is he. And that means to arrive there. So these are the three words that we've learned so far that deal with arriving either here or arriving there. So now I'm sure everybody's thinking, wait a minute, is there a way to say arriving back there? Because there's a way to say arriving here and arriving back here. There's a way to say arriving there. Is there a way to say arriving back there? Yes, there is. And that's what we're going to go over first. So there is a word that is different than the others, of course, and that means to arrive back somewhere, indicating you've been there before. And that word is gi. Gi. Now I'm going to run through the conjugations again for everybody. So hagi, I arrive back there. Ragi, you arrive back there. Gi, he or she arrives back there. So some of you who are kind of pattern oriented might be starting to pick up that there's kind of a pattern for how you say I and you on some of these words. And that's some information that we can go over at a later time. Or if you want to know more about the patterns, email any of us, we can talk a little bit more about those. I'm also going to bring back so that we are able to do some example sentences with this, the word ja janagi, which again means when, but in the future. So we learned that in the last module. Okay, so I want to run through some sentences using that word gi, which again means to arrive back somewhere. And then just for the reference and for the answer to all of these, we're going to have this. We Woi Cut Up is a calendar. And you can see Monday is kind of sticking out there. So we're going to use that as the basis for the answer for these questions. All right. Well, Ja Janagi Aja Ragik Jane. Ja Janagi Aja Ragik Jane. When will you arrive back there? So there's Ja Janagi, the word we learned. Aja means there. Ragi, which is you arrive back somewhere. Kchene is makes a future. Ja Janagi Aja Ragi Kchene. When will you arrive back there? Hamp Chekgi Aja Hagi Kchene. Hamp Chekgi Aja Hagi Kchene. I will arrive back there on Monday. And once again, you see Hamchek Gi, so when it is Monday in the future, remember that from our days of the week unit. Aja, again, means there, and then Hagi, I arrive back, Kchene, the future tense. So, Ja Janagi Aja Ragi Kchene, Hamchek Gi Aja Hagi Kchene. When will you arrive back there? I will get back there on Monday. Cecilga hichankira jajanagi eja geekjene. Cecilga hichankira jajanagi eja geekjene. When will Cecile's younger sister arrive back there? So you see Cecile, hichunk, remember younger sister for a woman. Jajanagi, when, eja geekjene. Pretty straightforward. Cecilga hichankira Ja Janagi Aja Geek Chene. Hampcheki Sicilga Hichankira Aja Geek Chene. Hampcheki Sicilga Hichankira Aja Geek Chene. So Cecile's younger sister will arrive back there on Monday. All right, so one of the other words that we learned, and Hokiaiguga did a really good job of teaching this, and it's probably one of the most commonly used traveling verbs, is leaving to go somewhere. So if you're leaving to go or just to go, and that word was hoare. So that means you're leaving to go somewhere. Okay, that can be anywhere. Now, you may be wondering, well, we saw arrive here or arrive there, but we saw arrive back here and arrive back there. So you may be wondering, huachete, is there a way to say going back somewhere? And I would answer, yes, there is. There is a word that means to leave, to go back somewhere. And that word is kere. And I'll run through the conjugation. And once again, you might start seeing a pattern start to pop out in these words. Hakere, I go back, leave to go back somewhere. Rakere, you leave to go back somewhere. And kere, he or she goes back somewhere. So there's the word, and we're gonna run through some sentences. Once again, you see the we Woi Cut Up there, our calendar, and day of the week, Friday, that we're gonna use as our reference. Ja janagi rakere kchene. Ja janagi rakere kchene. When will you be heading back? Or when are you taking off to go back? When are you going back? Ha pisa chahangi hakere kchene. Ha pisa chahangi hakere kchene. I will be heading back on Friday. Mitsiga hinonkira ja janagi kere kchene. Mitsiga hinonkira ja janagi kere kchene. When will Mitzi's daughter head back? Mitsiga hinunkira, Mitzi's daughter, ja janagi kere kchene. And using that calendar as our reference. Ha pisa chanhagi mitsiga hinunkira kere kchene. Ha pisa chanhagi mitsiga hinunkira kere kchene. Mitzi's daughter will be heading back on Friday. Now, kere is a very useful term if you just want to say I'm taking off, like if you're leaving work to head home or you're leaving somewhere to head back, you can just say hakere kichene, hakere kichene. And my dad has a humorous story about that word. So hopefully next week during our eminent speaker session, he can share that about somebody who was taught how to say that and how they heard it. So, but yeah, you could say that. Hakere kichene. I'm going to take off. I'm going to head back. Well, Jegonkita, that's it for now. I hope everybody is doing well. And once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and let us know. We will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So until then, once again, I hope everybody's doing well. Ani Chuck Joey.